Hello and welcome to News Daily. I'm Sarah Allen and we have a big show today as we wrap up week one of the NAB AFL trade period. The skipper, Scott Pendlebury, joins us in studio to chat about our incoming players and how week one has unfolded. But before we chat to the newly crowned Copeland Trophy winner, let's take a look at some of the trade news that took place around the AFL today. And we start with one of our very own. Young defender Jonathan Marsh is unlikely to play with Collingwood next season. News broke last night that Marsh is seeking a return home to Western Australia for personal reasons. The club is committed to stay in close contact with Marsh and his family to make certain his health and well-being is best served. We wish Marshy all the best. Well, it's been a busy day around the league. Sam Mitchell is now officially an Eagle. West Coast received the three-time All-Australian player and picks 54 and 72 in exchange for picks 52, 70 and 88. Hawthorns pick 52 then immediately went to the Sydney Swans in a deal that makes Tom Mitchell officially a Hawthorn player. Sydney received picks 14 and 52, while Mitchell, Tom that is, arrives at Hawthorn with pick 57. And finally today, GWS youngster Jack Steele is now a Saint after the Giants received the 20-year-old for a future second-round pick. Well, as I mentioned off the top, we have a very special guest in studio today, and it's our skipper, Scott Pendlebury. Pendles, the last time a few senior players have done media, they've announced that they want to get traded. Please tell me you're not here to tell us you want to get traded.
No, if I was going to do that, I think I'd just ring up, do it over the phone like the rest of them have done.
Much easier option. Now, we've had two new Magpies come into the fold, Daniel Wells and Chris Mayne. Can you tell us a little bit about what they'll bring to the group?
Yeah, well, I think Wellsy, first-hand, we all seen, I think, late in the season when we played against North, how good he was. He was sick before the game and then come out and tore us to shreds. And he's going to give us that class with the footy, elite disposal. He's the best player in the comp, kicking inside 50. I read that, Decker said that the other day, so I take that as fact. And then Maney, elite four-pressure player. He's played in a couple of grand finals or, final series and been in very good sides. So his leadership that he adds to the group will be valuable as well.
And when they come into the club, do you get in touch with them? Do you welcome them straight away? How does that work?
Yeah, you touch base straight away. I think everyone nowadays, when I got drafted, it was the same thing. So it's always nice to hear from your new teammates, and I'm sure your phone goes pretty well in for 48 hours.
Now, when we picked up Daniel Wells, Decker spoke at length about what he will add to that list. And one of the things that he said was that it could potentially give you flexibility with where you play. Let's have a listen to what Derek Hine had to say on radio.
What it does, it just gives us a little bit more flexibility in what we can do with that midfield group. I mean, Scotty, I think, average 78 to 80% midfield time. Well, that may reduce to 68, 70% of which you'll spend in other areas of ground. And it also, what it does, is it allows us, if Scotty was to move out and Tay and all these sorts of guys were to move in other positions at various times of games, it allows us to develop the likes of Rupert Wills and these sorts of boys through the middle of the ground as well.
So potentially a bit more time in the forward line. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's a natural progression for my game that probably need to get out of the midfield for spurts and go forward and be able to kick goals. And I think I'm a little bit older now, 28 years old, so to be able to go forward for maybe 15-20% of games and try and set my teammates up or get on the end of a few will be nice, and especially if Wellesley's delivering the ball inside, it'll be nice to play forward.
Now, this week we heard the unfortunate news that Jonathan Marsh has requested to get out of his contract and return home to Western Australia, where he's from. Can you give us a bit of insight? You work closely with the young guys. How hard is it to come halfway across the country and come into a high-pressure environment like this?
Yeah, it is. It's very tough, and I think across the whole AFL we're seeing it more and more with guys wanting to go back to sort of the strong networks that are around them with family and friends. And Marshy's a terrific kid, and I wish him all the best with his football, and I hope the trade can get done because he's a ripper and he had a really good season for us, and it's unfortunate that he sort of wants to return home.
Yeah, we wish him all the best. Now let's talk more broadly. You signed a long-term deal last year.
Yeah.
This trade period has opened up the question, is there any integrity left in contracts? There's a lot of players requesting trades that are on 5-year deals. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've sort of been of the opinion now for a couple of years, the only thing contracts are good for is getting home loans when you go to the bank, because really anyone can get out of it whenever they want. I think even last year a few players got out of deals that were long term, and Port Adelaide, I think we're trying to get Hartlett to leave, and he just signed a 5-year deal. So I think it's the end of contracts. I don't mean anything anymore.
You're a big watcher of American sports, so you know how their systems work. Is there anything we could implement here to improve that?
I think we're going okay. You could take it one step further and be really ruthless and give players power, but also give the club power to do that. And because players can request trades to exactly the destination they want to go, and clubs sort of don't get a fair return on what they've sort of invested with for 3 or 4 years. So I think that step will come in. I've heard Brad Scott talk about that clubs should have the power if the players have got the power. So it's something that will probably happen in the near future.
Now, you've just got back from Europe. What are you doing with your 1 month left of leave before the season starts again?
Well, I'm training again, back training, doing a lot of work at my business, Progression Fitness, so I give that a nice little plug. And I built a barbecue yesterday, so successful sort of couple of weeks since I've been back from Europe.
Building barbecues, a new skill set.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Pendles. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
Well, that's all we have today on News Daily. It's week 1 of the NAB AFL trade period wrapped up. We've got 2 new players who have come across to the Magpies, so very exciting news. But there's still plenty to come for the Black and White Army. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again on Monday. Go Pies!